faith should be the only things that are uncovered, yeah? Ijma, which means like the consensus. There's no reputable.
You know what ijma means?
Yeah, no, not for you. For this brother is Christian. Yeah, so he needs to know what ijma means. Sorry. So having said that, what I'm saying to you is this is the reason why Majid Nawaz. I'm sorry to keep bringing him up.
Why do you always bring him up?
I don't know.
Honestly,
but this is the reason why people like him have to come out of the Islamic tradition, because if they want to appear like liberals,
for example, is hell eternal?
Yes.
Not according to Ibn Taymiyyah.
Ibn Taymiyyah had two things that are written in Majmu'at al-Fatawa. Did you notice?
No.
Okay, in Majmu'at al-Fatawa he has two aqwal. One of them says that it ends. One of them says it continues. So the scholars say the second one is he takes back his opinion.
As well, also believe they end, ends, right?
Who?
His student.
Ibn al-Qayyim al-Jawziyah, once again, is a qawl attributed to him, but that qawl is weak.
So you don't believe they believe that?
No, I don't believe that Ibn al-Qayyim believed that.
No. So you don't believe Ibn Taymiyyah believed that?
He had it in his Majmu'at al-Fatawa, but he has another one.
Isn't that a bit radical then for him to say that?
Yes, it's very radical. If he actually said that...
Do you hold the same views as you have against Majid, against Ibn Taymiyyah then for holding that?
Yeah, if he believed... If Ibn Taymiyyah, and I'm not, what do you call it? And once again, I'm not muta'assib. I'm not, what do you call it, holding on to Ibn Taymiyyah as coattails. If he had stopped by saying that hell is eternal, this would have been very problematic for him. He corrected himself.
Oh, he changed his view?
Yes, he changed his view in his Majmu'at al-Fatawa, and he said, no, hell continues forever. And there is a clear qawl in Majmu'at al-Fatawa. In fact, I know the kitab. I'll send it to you if you want.
Okay.
Yeah, he said it very clearly. So people have.
Do you think it's very problematic if someone says that hell doesn't continue forever?
Yes, it's very problematic. There's two things. There's al-'udhr bil-jahl. Let me tell you something. There's al-'udhr bil-jahl and al-'udhr bil-ta'awul.
How can a finite crime have an infinite punishment?
Now you're asking a question of theology. So why not? What's your moral?
Why not?
No.
Why not?
No, let me use the same logic.
I struggle with this one, I'm not gonna lie.
Yeah. So I would say to you, listen. From an Islamic perspective, do you want me to treat you like I would answer to a non-Muslim, or who am I directing this to?
Well, I'm a Muslim.
You're a Muslim because the Quran says so. Full stop.
Okay, so that means that you don't. So that if the Quran said so,
khalidina fiha, they will be there forever.
So you would support something that was irrational, even if the Quran said it?
Yes, because the hadith.
Wow.
Of course.
But why is it that you use reason?
Let me tell you why.
One second. You can't like use reason
because
like a can.
Yes, you
when
can.
You drink it and then you chuck it.
Let me tell you why. Because human reason is limited. Yeah, of course it is.
No. We come back. It doesn't.
If I'm using reason, I'm using my reason, and my reasoning capacities are limited.
No.
Yes, I am.
Because it's a principle that is inconsistent to.
So the way it works.
Someone can argue. That God cannot be unjust.
No, let me rephrase, because I think I said this wrong. Yes, let me rephrase it.
Okay.
You're right to ask that question. If the way I've been socialized and whatever, if I look at a verse in the Quran, having reasoned that the Quran is from the word of God already, and understood that, if I look at it and from my perspective, subjectively, say this is irrational, in my opinion, I will accuse myself before I accuse the Quran, because I would assume that the Quran is from the all-knowing, all-wise, and in fact I am not.
You would.
But did you get the point?
Like
However, Ibn Taymiyyah, going back to him, he wrote a book called Dar'u Ta'arud Bayn al-Aqli wal-Naql. There is no clash between reason and the Quran, for example.
Ibn Rushd.
Ibn Rushd, he didn't write a book with the same title.
No, he wrote a chapter talking about the harmony between.
Ibn Rushd, Ibn Tufayl, Al-Ghazali, everyone says this. No problem.
And what did they say? And Imam Shatibi also said that if the Quran or your understanding of the Quran goes against reason, you go with reason.
No,
you have to reinterpret. No, it's not kufr. You just reinterpret the verse.
Interpretation is different. If you're saying reinterpretation is different, you don't reject it.
So why is it that if you see something irrational, why can't you go back to the verse and say, well, when Allah was saying,
for example,
abada, you're saying Allah was saying abada, it means eternal.
Abada,
When you mean that, it's just a figure of speech, like a long time. Why can't you understand that?
Perfect. So here we have to employ something called the hermeneutical approach, and this has a linguistic base, in fact. And the first question is, what is majaz and what is haqiqah? That is the instrumental question, wallahi. What is haqiqa, what is figurative, what is majaz, what is figurative and metaphoric speech, and what is haqiqa, which means what is literal speech.
Yes, yes.
And how do we differentiate between the two? And what is the asl? What is the default position? Is the asl that is haqiqa or is majaz?
Yeah.
So if Allah speaks generally, when he says Qul huwa Allahu ahad, is this haqiqa, is this literal speech,
Yes.
or is it figurative speech? And how do we differentiate between the two?
Yes, yes.
You see, so for example, I don't take the view that Ibn Taymiyyah takes. Ibn Taymiyyah says,
That he did take.
yes, Ibn Taymiyyah said that there's no majaz in the Quran. There is no such thing as a metaphor in the Quran. Yes?
Right.
So where Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, is'al al-qarya, it means is'al ahl al-qarya, ask the town. He says no, it's mahdhuf, after. But then when in Surah Al-Kahf comes and says, it becomes even more difficult when we're talking about the jidar, the thing. So I don't believe, and this is a very isolated opinion of Ibn
Can I say
Taymiyyah.
something?
However, what I will say to you is haqiqa is the asl, which is when people speak, they speak in literal terms. Majaz, which is figurative speech, is the istithna. And for us to ascertain the majaz, we have to have a clear bayina. For example, the Quran says, ضَرَبَ اللَّهُ مَثَلًا. He says like, I've struck a parable. Or he uses words which the Arabs used before,
Yes.
in poetry and otherwise, which indicate majaz,
Fine.
which
So
is
you're saying
metaphor.
there's a mechanism of determining what
Yes,
verse is.
exactly.
But this
Yes.
is a mechanism also. If you find something that is so apparently irrational and unjust, because Allah can't be unjust, because He is.
No, but that's your understanding of
No,
justice.
no, it's not. No, it's a principle. How can an infinite, a finite crime have
It's
an
not,
infinite
that's not a
punishment?
principle.
So you don't believe in proportionality?
No.
So for example, if someone chopped this tree down,
Let me tell you
and
that-
I said to him,
yes, perfect.
your punishment is I'm going to machine gun you and your whole
Allahu
family.
Akbar, perfect.
You would say that's disproportionate.
No, I wouldn't. This is what I would
You wouldn't
say.
say
No, I
disproportionate.
wouldn't say anything like this. Let me tell you what I would say. No, hold on.
Hold on, how can that?
No.
Say that?
Rational principles and logical, as we go in the beginning, rational and logical principles, mathematical principles are only applicable in the realms of logical reasoning and mathematics. What might seem to be mathematical or rational in the sociological environment might not be. For example, the crime of shirk. Would you disagree with me? The Quran says, "Inna Allah la yaghfiru an yushraka bihi wa yaghfiru ma duna dhalika liman yasha." Allah doesn't forgive that any shirk is done with Him, any association of partners, but He forgives anything else to whoever He wants. So if someone has received the message and dies upon shirk, they're in big trouble. Whether it be they're going to hell for a day or 2 years or a million years, whatever, that's still a punishment which is going to be very heavy. According to the Islamic thesis, killing someone in cold blood is less of a sin than shirk. Now you might think, because the Quran says so very clearly, you might think that's irrational. But then what you're using to determine what's irrational is a sociological...
No. Let's see. Well, no. Is that true? Do you
What?
think it's
Yes.
worse to have shirk? That
Yeah.
having shirk is worse than killing someone?
Yes, the Quran says that.
I don't know. Where does it say that?
Chapter 4, verse 48.
Where does it make that comparison?
It says in the Quran, "Inna Allah la yaghfiru an yushraka bihi wa yaghfiru ma duna dhalika liman yasha." That Allah does not forgive that someone associate partners with Him, but He forgives anything else to whoever He wants, which includes killing someone and these things.
But isn't it right that the only person that can forgive you for killing them is the person that got killed? Because you didn't harm Allah, did you?
What do you mean?
Okay, so if I kill someone, the person that has to forgive me, yes, I've made a sin.
The person's dead now. He's dead.
No, but in the afterlife.
What you mean in
I'm
the-
going to be accountable, aren't I? So
No, in the afterlife.
isn't that person supposed to forgive me, not anybody else?
Well, Allah forgive you as well, if you ask for
That
it.
crime wasn't against Allah. It happened against that person.
But it was against Allah and that person.
Well, against Allah's will.
Yeah, it's against Allah.
So would Allah forgive
Yeah,
when
yeah.
someone didn't forgive? How does that work?
Say that again. Yes, He can. Of course He can.
No, He can, but would He?
Depends.
He wants to be just.
That's what I'm saying. So you have to understand the precepts here, because when you conflate, these are just like flimsy concepts
Okay, so
of rationality and these things.
we just
They're-
park something.
Yeah.
Okay, go back to is it rational?
Yes.
No,
It's
is
not rational.
I think it is rational.
What is?
That it is rational.
That shirk is
Shirk is, yeah, it can be rational.
perfect. Go ahead.
It
So
can
now,
be rational. I can argue why it's rational.
yeah, I can argue as well.
Okay,
But the
fine,
thing,
why are you
no, both of us can argue. I also,
Because we differentiate between beings. Like if I harm a tree, it's very different to me harming him, because he's human.
Perfect, yeah.
So if you're harming God,
Yeah. Not harming him, or if you're transgressing against his
or
will.
trying to,
Yeah. Transgressing against his will,
with the
yeah.
intention to,
Yeah.
the severity of your crime is determined by
Allahu
the being.
Akbar. What? Do you know what? I really love this. Adam, I respect you for this, because the rationality that you've employed is based on the Quran.
Yeah, but that's what I'm trying to tell you.
Yeah, no problem. If you want to base it on the Quran,
That's what I'm trying to say.
that's fine.
No. The reason and the Quran are like this.
Yeah, I agree with this.
So I can argue that without using the Quran.
Yeah.
It makes sense to me even without the Quran.
Yeah, no problem. Perfect. I agree with that as well. Yeah. No. That's now going back to the health thing. Yeah.
Yes, let's go back to the health thing.
Because here,
I've lost my thought.
if you said that this is exactly the answer, you've given yourself the answer. Yeah. It's the issue of value.
Oh, right,
okay,
yeah,
perfect. I've made exactly the same commentary before. In fact, I've made a video. It's entitled on my channel, "The Biggest Sin in Islam," and I used exactly maybe mediocre minds think alike. Like minds. I'm joking. I'm saying that. Look, what I said is exactly like what you said.
You're associating with someone who joins it's a part of Quilliam.
No. Listen,
Explain your
da'wah is open to
life.
every human being in the world. What I was going to say was to you is this. Look, I said exactly the same parable as what you said in that video. I said to them, there's two people that were asking. I said, look, how do we differentiate that the tree has more, for example, if I cut down a tree and if I kill a baby child, how do we know killing a baby child is more of an egregious sin or a wrong than cutting the tree down? Because we've attached values on the tree and we've attached values on the baby.
Yes.
And we also attach value on Allah, in the sense that he's most infinite. In terms of what importance he holds ultimate importance. Therefore, transgression against Allah has the most severe crime. And the most severe crime is an eternity in hellfire. Because you can't even imagine or comprehend or conceive of something more than that.
Okay, but I agree with you. We agreed.
Yeah.
I stop at the eternal. I don't necessarily believe you have to support that to be faithful to the Quran, because you could understand when Allah says abada to mean a very long time.
But khalidina fiha. They're always going to be there. Khalidina.
Yeah, always. Yeah, but it's an expression. Always, like when you say to me, for example, how long will you wait to get at the supermarket in the queue? I was like, I was there forever. It's an expression.
Yeah, but no. But what you have to prove is that the Arabs used it like that. They never used it like this. Because they had different words. There's different words in Arabic language to express what you've said, like mukuth. Yeah, qu'ud, julus. Why didn't he use any of those words?
I can't comprehend.
Yes. That's yes. Go.
Because we're not talking about can someone be punished for that. We're saying can someone be punished for the eternity.
Yeah, what I'm saying is that this is...
I just... You know, I don't know if that doesn't sit well.
By the way, let me say, I know it doesn't sit well, but by the way, you have to understand Allah is all just, according to our paradigm, yeah? And also that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, for example, we can say an atheist, or a Christian or a Jew. According to the Islamic thesis, if they haven't had decent exposure, they can die, yes, and they can go to Jannah because they can say a test in the Day of Judgment and go to Jannah.
Exactly.
We're not saying all non-Muslims are going to hell. That's not the argument. In the Quran, it says in chapter 17, verse 15.
There might be more Muslims than there might be maybe more non-Muslims than Muslims.
What I'm saying is, in the Quran, it says, وَمَا كُنَّا مُعَذِّبِينَ حَتَّى نَبْعَثَ رَسُولًا. We're not going to punish anyone except we send them a messenger. Yeah. So there has to be decent exposure, understanding. The fitrah has to be reawakened. There has to be a chance for the fitrah to reawaken. Yeah. So I'm not disagreeing with you on these points. Yeah, you're absolutely right. But for us to understand hellfire and how it works in these things, we really have to understand the Islamic thesis. Yeah.
Okay, so you hold that view, but if someone said that hellfire doesn't go on for eternity,
I wouldn't make takfir of them with that.
Okay, fine.
It's not a takfirable offence.
That's fine.
Yeah, because you can have adhr bil-jahl and adhr bil-ta'wil.
So when Majid says it's not real burning, it's
that's takfir. That's takfir.
Why do you?
Because the Quran is very clear about it being a fire. There's a hadith talking about it changing color and these things.
But why do you have to make takfir?
No, I'm not saying I'm making takfir of him, but that is. I mean, I could make takfir of him. I have no issues. I don't think he's a Muslim in the sense that Majid Nawaz.
Why would you do that?
No, because according to what he says himself, I don't think.
No, but he calls himself a Muslim.
No, I know he might call himself a Muslim, but do you know what he says? Yeah, I had a conversation with one trustworthy non-Muslim person who told me. And other people within the circle that Majid Nawaz no longer identifies in that he doesn't believe that these are the words of God in that sense. Yes, and by what he says, it's quite clear. It's quite clear.
Doesn't he want to change the Quran or something like that?
No. Yeah. So, anyways, I mean, I haven't investigated.
It doesn't.
But for me,
no, but
you know.
Someone is allowed to have an interpretation.
But it doesn't matter. I have the freedom to believe that he's a disbeliever. Yeah. If I believe he's a disbeliever or murtad or something, or apostate, I'm not going to go and kill him. I don't believe in harming him.
But the hadith, the hadith that says whoever calls someone a kafir is not.
Yes, but there is also. Yeah, I agree with this.
But why go down that route? Then? Just leave it. Just say I disagree with you.
No. What I've said is that I can, inside me, believe that he's a disbeliever and still treat him with complete respect.
No, but you call him, you excommunicate him.
No problem. I have the freedom to do that. It's not a problem.
But we didn't say that every freedom is right.
Yeah, no, it's accepted. So from an Islamic perspective, I believe that what he's done is khata', in my opinion. If you want my honest opinion, the stuff that he says.
Why do you draw the line then when someone?
Because he drew a picture of Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam.
No, that's different.
And he mocks the religion.
Firstly, he didn't draw a picture.
Did he not?
He tweeted.
Yeah, even that is the same.
But there was. I don't think there's anything wrong with drawing a picture of the Prophet.
No, okay.
Depends on what you say about it.
So look, drawing a picture of the Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam is muharram, shar'an. It's haram.
Well, no, I don't think it is. I don't think it is. I don't think I have a problem with it. I wouldn't do it. So, but I don't think it's
There's lots of evidence to suggest that it's haram.
But where I
Sorry, go ahead.
Where I have the what I understand is that if someone believes that
and actually kufr as well. It's kufr to draw the picture of the Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam. And there's so many precautions of the Prophet Muhammad.
I don't think so.
Yeah, he made so many precautions for people not to take his لعن الله اليهود والنصارى اتخذوا قبور أنبيائهم مساجد. There's lots of things.
Look, the problem that I have is with a lot of people that hold on to what's called Islam is that they believe in things that are quite noxious. So, for example, they believe in, again, we always use this example, but if you introduce something into your belief system that is reprehensible, it makes you more likely to accept more reprehensible ideas.
That's not a problem, but reprehensibility is defined by society, and society sometimes can engineer fake things.
No.
In the Western world, they could say that this is reprehensible, but then we could say this is just your socially constructed idea of what's reprehensible.
Like, for example, it doesn't, child abuse, for example.
Okay.
It doesn't matter if society says child abuse is right, it's still going to be wrong.
I would argue that for an atheist, he could not. I would say easily, child abuse is wrong. Yeah, from our perspective. But
you wouldn't say child abuse is wrong because the Quran said so, would you?
Yes, I would say
the
that.
Hadith.
Yes.
No, you'd say it's wrong anyway. I don't need the.
No. I wouldn't say that.
So you wouldn't be able to work out that child abuse is wrong if it wasn't for the Sunnah.
No, I'm not saying I'll be working out or not. I'm saying that for me.
No, I'm asking.
Yeah.
Imagine you weren't even Muslim.
I'd be socialized to believing it's wrong. If you lived 100 years ago...
Not
but hold on, let me tell you something. If you lived 100 years ago in this country, 200 years ago, what's referred to as child abuse today is not referred to as child abuse then.
Okay, but there are clear things that sex needs consent.
Not really. Look at Delaware. In 1880, in Delaware, the legal age for marriage was 7 years old.
Okay.
People would call that child abuse.
Okay, all right. Sex with a 1-year-old. All right, let's drill this down. Sex with a 1-year-old. You do not need social convention to tell you that
it's mustahil. It's actually it's implausible. I'm saying, look, implausible to have sex with a 1-year-old. How can you have sex with a 1-year-old?
Some people do.
It's not really a plausible thing.
No, it happens, bro. It happens.
Does it?
Yes, unfortunately it happens. But the thing is, Yes.
Yeah,
But
yeah.
the thing is, you wouldn't have to be a religious person to know that that's wrong.
Yeah, I understand this point, but what I'm saying is that depending on culture, like for example, let's use the age of 7, yeah, as a barometer here.
No.
Here, it's morally absolutely
I
reprehensible.
know, but you're using stuff that like a grey areas. I'm giving you a clear-cut example that doesn't.
But it's only a grey area because you think it is one.
It's only a grey area.
It's only a grey area because you have the power of hindsight in retrospect.
Okay, rape.
Yeah, same thing with rape. It was before in many cultures. I'm not saying it's right. Obviously, it's wrong. We all agree it's
But
wrong.
you wouldn't need.
No, what I'm saying is that some cultures accepted it and normalized it.
Yeah, but that doesn't mean it's. That
So for them, it wouldn't be socially reprehensible. If you lived in their time, maybe you wouldn't have the same view as you do.
Okay, but what if somebody within that society said that rape was wrong? Do you think they can think outside of the social?
Some people
construct?
do. Some people do.
Yeah, so
but it's
the
difficult
point
to
is-
think outside of social
No, but
constructs.
the point that you can though, can't
Yes.
you? And that's what.
No,
my
it's
point is.
possible, but
But
here's,
that's my
here's,
point,
here's
that
yeah.
you don't need scripture to do that.
Yeah, no, sometimes you don't need it. Sometimes you do need it. That's my point. I'm saying I agree with you. Sometimes fitri, we've already agreed that innate predisposition makes us look at certain things as ugly, yeah? Like killing and murder and rape. But what I'm saying is that there's some minutiae. I always use the word minutiae.
The Quran
Yeah,
appeals to objective morality.
Yes.
The Quran appeals to it to convince the 7th century Arabs. Because the Quran says, I command you to implement justice. Yes. Allah didn't say, I command you to follow me.
Yes, he does.
No, in other,
وَأَطِيعُوا اللَّهَ وَأَطِيعُوا
yeah, in
الرَّسُولَ.
other verses it does, but
Yeah.
on this particular verse,
Which one? Which verse? Which one are you talking about? Are you related? Oh, okay, I thought you were related.
this verse. God commands justice. Yeah. God could.
Yeah.
إن
Okay.
الله
يأمر بالعدل والإحسان.
Yeah.
Yeah.
to say that you simply just follow God's commands becomes tautological. Why? Because God's saying,
It's not sociological.
well, let me just try and
Oh, sorry,
explain,
apologies.
yeah? God commands justice. So he's appealing to a notion of justice, right? To convince the 7th century Arabs, right?
What evidence do you have that it's only to the 7th century Arab?
No, at the time, because the 7th century Arabs, Islam wasn't completed. So he was talking.
But it got completed, didn't it?
It did, but at this verse it wasn't completed.
Or it's Surah Al-Nahl or whatever. Yeah, you're probably right. It wasn't. Yeah.
It wasn't completed. So the
Yeah,
point
okay.
is that Islam is not completed,
Yep.
and
At this time. At that time, it was
at this
reversed.
time,
Yeah.
at the verse, it wasn't completed.
But now that it is, though.
No, but wait.
Yeah, sorry,
wait.
apologize, yeah.
But and Allah is trying to communicate. Allah is trying to communicate with something that they don't understand. If you're right, but if you understand the way that I understand that Allah is what He's doing is that Allah is commanding them to and appealing to something objective, which is justice. Everybody knows what justice is, and He's saying, "I command you to implement justice." Otherwise, if you understand it simply because of
But
what God
that's the
wills,
question. That's what becomes completely subjective then. Everyone can have their own idea of justice as per their own cultural and societal norms.
the way that we understand justice doesn't undermine the reality of the objectivity of justice. This is the same point I had with
Yeah,
Sarah.
yeah, no, fair-
This is very interesting. We're having the same conversation I had with Sarah.
Yeah. But no, yeah, it does in a sense. Yeah, you're right. But here's what I'm saying to you, yeah, Adam.
Forms, yeah.
Let's kind of wrap up because I need to pray Maghrib. No, let me kind of do some summarizing remarks. Yeah. Do you know what? I found that you're, in my opinion, in my humble opinion, yeah, I've seen a couple of things and heard a couple of things of Majid Nawaz, yeah. I've seen and heard it, and I've seen what you have to say and heard what you have to say. In my humble opinion, it makes no sense for you to be working together.
Well, I emphatically
You're more
disagree.
online. You're more center ground in the sense of Islamic traditionalism. In fact, I genuinely do believe that if you actually voiced your opinion in a public platform,
Yeah.
maybe he'll reprimand you, say this is wrong.
Not at all.
Okay, in that case, you need to make very clear. If in order for, because the thing is, look, my opinion on Quilliam is that it doesn't help counter extremism. It's working the wrong strategies.
Well,
I reckon. Let me tell you something. I reckon we do the best counter extremist work, and that's no. When I say we, I'm not talking about me. I'm talking about people that are traditionalists. I'm not talking about me. Well, I'll tell you why.
But the problem is your traditional ideas are problematic.
No, but a lot of them you believe in anyways. We've come to that conclusion. What I was going to say to you is this, Adam, listen.
Okay.
Yeah, look. This is the way to deal with extremism, in my opinion. You can take it, policy, recommendation, throw it in the bin, use it, do whatever you want to do. If you're serious about it, okay, do not work with people who are, to the Muslim community, seen as not helping or not helpful. People like Majid Nawaz, because he's not like you. He's very much against Islam in many aspects and Muslims. And in our opinion, it's our subjective opinion, no problem. That's number one. Free yourself from those individuals. Number two, what you've got to do is you've got to work within the framework. Muslims that, let me tell you this candidly and clearly for you to hear, please. If you're serious about countering extremism, listen to what I'm saying. Muslims that have decided or are about to decide to blow themselves up, yeah, on a train or on a plane or on an automobile or whatever it may be, those individuals will not be convinced by the rhetoric of post-enlightenment. They will not be. Let me tell you why. Because, no, hold on, they will not be convinced by post-enlightenment liberalistic, democratic reasoning. They can only be convinced. They can only and will only be convinced. No, but yeah, those individuals are discredited by the Muslim community.
What, Sheikh Osama Hassan?
Yes, they're discredited by the Muslim. I'm not saying that they have no knowledge. I'm not saying this.
But they argue within the tradition.
No, they don't really, because they're saying things which are. Let me tell you what. Let me say that. Adam, please.
You know that?
No, I do know. I've heard them say that you can break your fast at Asr time according to Saudi Arabia.
That's an Azhari opinion.
Yes, Azhari opinion can be. There are many Azhari opinions that are very much isolated. Yeah.
But it's an Azhari opinion.
Yeah, no, but it's not mainstream.
Second,
No,
most
look,
important authority.
you have to work within the mainstream.
No, but who's mainstream? Your mainstream?
No. There is a mainstream tradition. There's a scholastic
Azhar
tradition.
University.
It's not Azhar. Azhar hasn't made that fatwa. It's a one person. No, it's not. It's not.
It's Azhari.
Tell me where it says that Azhar has. They don't have legend like that.
It is a fatwa supported by Azhar.
No. Al Azhar have not made this fatwa.
You're from Egypt, right?
I'm from. Yeah, I know. Trust me. They don't have a legend like that.
Yeah.
They don't have a legend. They have Tantawi. They have these guys, Jumu'ah, and these guys who are discredited in their own right. Trust me. Listen.
There is no.
Jumu'ah, who's the leader of Azhar now, is completely discredited in the Muslim world. You should know this.
Yeah.
Okay. Now,
But
I'm not saying he doesn't have any knowledge.
But it is an Azhari.
No problem, Adam. Listen to me. What I'm saying to you candidly and clearly, is that if you're serious about, seriously, you want to stop people blowing themselves up. Full stop, you want to stop people killing and this and that. I want to do the same thing. Maybe we'll have different reasons for doing it. Maybe me and Imagine have different reasons for doing it. Maybe me and the government of Britain have different reasons for doing it. We have different reasons for doing it. We actually do have different reasons. The reason why I'm doing it is to protect my own community. I want to tell you straightforward, because the first corruption is the deviant ideology that they're going to be following, which could take them out of Islam altogether, in my opinion, That's the first corruption. I want to protect them from that before anything else. That's number one. So here, what I'm saying is, if you're really serious about that, you need to join. You need to free yourselves from those individuals who are completely discredited in the Muslim community. And then you need to equip yourself with the traditional knowledge, which I'm sure you have some basis on that. And then you have to join those traditionalists who work within the tradition, the mainstream tradition, and I'm talking about the former madhahib, etc., in order to try and divert those people away using that rhetoric. The post-enlightenment rhetoric works with the British public, non-Muslims really well, I'm telling you. But it does not work with someone who's about to kill some people.
No, but we have.
Do you understand this point? Someone who's going to blow themselves up. If someone says, "Look, it's not very democratic what you're doing,"
I understand.
Freedom of speech, and I say, "Listen, man, I'm opposing freedom of speech." And exactly, that's exactly right. You give him fuel and energy, and what he needs is someone to come to him and say, "Listen, let me tell you something." No, I know. I'm not saying it's you. I'm saying that this guy needs, that he's about to blow himself up, and I'm not taking any credit for myself. Wallahi, a lot of people within the da'wah scene, a lot of the mashayikh particularly, yeah, those who are very engrossed in the traditional works, yeah, they are, in my opinion, at the front line of de-radicalizing people in that same way that we talked about. When we say de-radicalizing, we're talking about stopping them from blowing themselves up. You know why? Because they bring those guys to the corner and they say, you know what you're doing here goes against this Quranic verse and that scholar.
Do you hold on to the concept of Dar al-Kufr, Dar al-Harb? Do you hold on to these concepts?
Dar al-Harb, look, this is what you say to us.
Dar al-Kufr, do you hold on to the concept of Dar al-Kufr?
No, it's not Dar al-Kufr, it's Dar al-Harb. Dar al-Harb or Dar al-Islam. Dar al-Harb. Dar al-Harb is where war is happening, yeah? No problem. If someone comes to you and says, I believe we're in Dar al-Harb, say, no problem. It's what you say to him, Adam. Say, Dar al-Harb, for those who believe in it, means the place of war. Say, I agree, no problem. We believe we're in Dar al-Harb, yeah? Oh, no problem, yeah? How would you deal with that individual? I'm asking you. I mean, this is a bit of a training now. I'm not saying that you need it, but a bit of a training. I'm saying I'm a radical. I'm coming to you now. I'm saying, look, we're in Dar al-Harb. We're in the place of war. How are we going to... how would you counter this? If someone will come to you, are you going to say it was very undemocratic, it's irrational? He's going to say, you know, I don't care about democracy, and I've got my own rationality.
No,
the Quran says Dar al-Harb, I'm going to kill the guy. How would you deal with it?
I would deconstruct the whole identification of Dar al-Harb.
Okay, he's not going to be. He's going to say, look, you know what he sees? He's going to say, look, we've got Adam Deen versus Ibn Qudama. We're going to take Ibn Qudama because Adam Deen is not trained Islamically. He doesn't have the Arabic language, etc. Ibn Qudama is at a mountain. I'm going to take him over than you because he knows more about Islam than you. Full stop. Case closed. You know how to deal with it? Someone comes to you and says, Dar al-Harb. I believe I'm in Dar al-Harb, yeah? Say, okay, no problem. Let's take, for the sake of argument, we're in Dar al-Harb. We're a place of war. You know what he says to them? First question. Is it okay to kill a cat in Dar al-Harb? First question. This is a training now. I hope the Quilliam guys there, they're listening. You say to them, is it okay to kill a cat in Dar al-Harb? Is it okay? What is he going to say? He's going to say, no, it's not okay. If he knows anything, he say, no, I don't know, actually. He said, I don't know. He said, well, the hadith of the woman that tortured the cat should go to hell. Yeah? Okay, fine. Is killing a cat haram? Yes. Is it haram in Dar al-Harb and Dar al-Islam? Yes. How do we know it's haram in both places? Because there's no reason for us to believe that this general rule is not applicable in Dar al-Harb. Fine. Let's take it to the next step. Is it haram to kill a child, a baby in Dar al-Harb? So of course. Why? Because it's haram to kill. أَنَا بَرِيءٌ مِمَّا فَعَلَهُ خَالِدٌ. The Prophet told us straightforwardly that مَا كَانَ عَلَيْهَا أَن تُقْتَلْ. When the woman was killed in the battlefield, he said it wasn't for her to be killed. Fine. So here, what was that Dar al-Harb? Yes. What did he say?
What about the hadith that said...
wait. So then you move up. So fine, so killing civilians, whether it be in Dar al-Islam or Dar al-Harb is haram. Then he's going to say, okay, well, you know what? You make a point. This hadith, مَا كَانَ عَلَيْهَا أَن تُقْتَلْ.
What about the hadith that said when they killed children accidentally, and they said, "Don't worry, they are them." The Prophet allegedly said,
"Yes,
they are of them. They are kafir, obviously."
So
fine. They use that.
Yes, exactly. Perfect, excellent.
But
no. You say to them that hadith. Put it in context. And what is it? Is it a sahih hadith or not? These are all questions you put. No, it's fine. But
sorry. Your methodology doesn't work.
It does work.
It doesn't because
wallahi it works. Wallahi it works.
Because he will.
I can give you the testimonials, brother. Do you know what we might do? We might get you, wallahi, because at the beginning of this discussion, I said to you, look, what way of measuring, your success in terms of counter extremism, as like you call it, And you said, really, we have some things here and there. We know it's trivial or whatever. I'm saying to you, we have...
I gave you a trivial example, but on the ground, Adam, there are people that are actually in prison that we engage with.
Adam, I'm telling you, our way...
Actually, they disavow their extremist
No problem.
views.
Wallahi.
There are people that consider it... We've got people that we've actually...
Wallahi.
Stop.
Wallahi. Our way works. Do you know why? Because... Do you know why our way works? Hold on.
That's like saying Al-Qaeda takes people away from ISIS and they join Al-Qaeda and they say, Wallahi it works.
No, but...
Wallahi it works.
No, but Adam, are you with me?
So it depends. You're taking them away from being jihadists.
It's wrong. Is God's words wrong?
Yeah, but God is just as well. And
Yeah, no
God-
problem. But he
and
said,
God-
"As-sariqu
God is
was-sariqatu
just-
faqta'u
yes,
aydihum."
and also Islam was revealed. There was a historical context.
No problem. But he's saying the hand of the.
Well, he's stupid then, isn't he?
Who is?
The person who said, I'm going to cut the hand of the thief.
No,
just
no,
because
the
he said in the Quran.
No,
He's gonna be
I'm not
stupid.
saying that. No, I'm not saying that we should cut the hand of the thief. That's not what I'm saying.
Yeah,
I'm
but
saying
you would- but you would-
we already
you
said.
would do it in an Islamic state.
No, I wouldn't do it. Anyway, I'm saying there's a difference between
No, you
ta'sil
would,
and
but would
tanzil.
you-
Do you know what affects the British public? Ta'sil al-hukm is what the Quran says, what the hadith says. Tanzil al-hukm is when it's implemented. Let's talk. What affects the British public? Not ta'sil al-hukm. I can walk around in my heart and my brain now, listen to me, and believe in my heart, in my brain, that actually if all the conditions are met and this and that, no preventers are in place, and we lived in a Muslim country, that, you know, the punitive law of cutting the hand off is the most beneficial one or whatever. Does that, my belief, will it ever manifest itself in a sociological environment? It will never ever. No, listen, hold on, Adam, please, wait. It will never manifest itself in a social. It has no implications on the British public, because I don't believe any of the Sharia law is applicable to non-Muslims. Any of it, not praying, not fasting, not hijab, none of it is applicable to the British non-Muslim public. Stealing, yes, none of apostasy, all of that is not applicable in Britain. You understand? So here, ta'silan as a hukum, I believe is all true, but tanzilan, implementation, I don't say it's applicable. So me and you have the same, our position has the same effect sociologically. If I bring someone out of blowing themselves up, now blowing someone up does have an effect on the British public. Now, British public don't give a damn if I think in my heart that, you know, if I lived in an all-Muslim country and the hand comes off, they don't give a damn if I think that. It's not going to affect their daily life. But what is going to affect their daily life if I blow myself up? What they need.
But the problem with
Adam.
The problem with the guy that you're talking to, right, who's been indoctrinated with these ideas, he would consider you a hypocrite, because he would say you're being selective with the hadiths that you're choosing.
No, then,
so according to your own methodology,
you
would be considered someone who's not consistent.
No,
because
that's according to them.
Akhi, you say, akhi, you need to follow this hadith as well.
No, but that's the thing.
But with my methodology, I completely
Adam, that's not right. Do you know why? Because here, you have to understand the difference. The Quran says, مَا لَكُمْ إِذَا قِيلَ لَكُمْ انفروا ثاقلتم إلى الأرض أرضيتم بالحياة الدنيا وما الحياة الدنيا في الآخرة إلا قليل. What is it to you? This is one of the things that the jihadis, they say a lot of the time. One of the main verses that they use in Surah At-Tawbah. Surah At-Tawbah. Why don't you go out and fight? When it's said to you, fight in the way of Allah. Why is أثاقلتم إلى الأرض, that you come, that you cling onto the earth? أرضيتم في الحياة بالحياة الدنيا. Are you happy with this world? وما الحياة الدنيا في الآخرة إلا قليل. What is the life of this world to the hereafter, except for a little? It's minor. Now, having said that, now the first thing I'll say to them, oh, okay. The Quran says, ما لكم إذا قيل لكم. When it's said to you, fight in the way of Allah. Who's speaking? Not Allah. إذا قيل لكم. All of the mufassirun of this verse say, when the Amir. Mark Sageman makes a really interesting book. The Amir meaning the leader. Mark Sageman makes a really interesting book called Leaderless Jihad. It's one of the main books. He even realized, he's a non-Muslim, he realizes that actually this whole physical jihad, what's required for it to be effective or to actually work is a leader in the country and these things. Just like any country has its leaders and soldiers, whatever, yeah? Same thing. Now that we have a fragmented ummah, there is no jihad like that except for the defensive one. The defensive one where someone comes and kills you and tries to your town and these things. So you have to fight.
You don't believe in offensive jihad?
Today we don't have, of course not. In this world, ta'silan, yes. Ta'silan, jihad.
So you don't believe in.
No.
Wait.
Sorry, I apologize. Yes.
In jihad being used to implement the Sharia.
Ta'silan. This is what you have to differentiate. Ta'silan, al-asl. As an asl, you have two kinds of jihad. Ibn Qudama says you have jihad al-difa' and jihad al-talab. Jihad al-difa' is when you're defending yourself. Jihad al-talab is when you're preempting jihad. You're physically doing these things, yeah? So if there was a Muslim country, they have two options. Jihad al-difa' is fard. Everybody has to fight, even the women and the thing in a country. They have to fight to defend themselves. Jihad al-talab, Now the scholars talk about how that should be implemented, etc. And usually it's implemented in the context of empire. And really and truly, I believe, in my opinion, and it's going to sound controversial, but in the framework of the medieval period, it was to prevent, being engulfed and absorbed into other empires, and to preempt that by absorbing other empires into its own empire. That's what we had in place. These things are tethered, qualified by lots of other laws. For example, the aqd and the mithaq that some Muslim countries can have with other Muslim countries. You could argue the UN, because you have to understand something. I'm sure you're clever enough to understand it. The pre-World War I world is completely different to the post-World War I world. Completely different. Wallahi, it's like two worlds. Pre-World War I, before 1914, everyone was on expansion. You had empires. You had the Austro-Hungary Empire. You had the German Empire. You had the Prussian Empire. You had the Russian Empire, Ottoman Empire. All of these empires were unashamedly expansionist and imperialist, and it was the menu of the day to be imperialist. In that context, Islam says expand, because if you don't expand, you're going to be expanded upon. Or, and this is the second option, you have, no, hold on. You have, no, I'm talking about the talab, I'm talking about the proactive. Or, so you can expand, or two, you can decide to make agreements with those other empires such that you both don't expand. Both of those things are reasonable recourses in that environment.
Yes.
Post World War I, sorry to go. Post World War I, post World War II. Yeah, of course. Post World War I, post World War II. You had the League of Nations, which failed. Then you had the UN. The UN is an American thing. Yeah, it's dominated by America. But I'm not talking about the UN now. But the idea of countries coming together, deciding not to expand, is supported by the Islamic text.
So the key point that I was trying to make was you don't fight.
So here, what I believe.
Wait.
Yeah, of course.
You don't fight because of their disbelief.
Yes, of course not. Yes.
That's fine.
Because the Quran says very clearly in chapter 22 of the Quran, it says very, very clearly. It says in chapter 22 verse 59, yeah? It says
Just say the English, bro. Just say the English.
Yeah. It says that it's written upon, those Muslims to fight بِأَنَّهُمْ ظُلِمُوا, because they have been oppressed.
Yeah, because they've been oppressed.
So the oppression is the reason, the illah.
Yes.
So here the point is this: Jihad has always got, it's couched in that language, is a language of justification. Now what I was going to say in a nutshell, bro, what we're doing, I personally believe, just watch it closely, and it will work more than what you're doing.
You can only do what you think is right.
Yeah.
Right? But we're working in the same direction.
Hopefully.
Well,
Majid, I completely disassociate from this guy, to be honest. I believe this guy, Majid Nawaz, okay, I genuinely, he's hated within the Muslim community. You have to understand this. Now, it's not productive having someone who's so hated within the Muslim community, seen as a sellout, excommunicated by the majority of people. He's not going to do any good in counter-extremism. It's only for the Muslims that are traditionalists, that delve into the tradition. We're going to do the best in this regard. We should learn from each other from that perspective. Yeah? Jazakallah khair.
good to meet you, bro.
You too, man. Thank you.
Nice to meet you.
You too, man.
Take it easy.
You too.
Where's the gum shield?
It's inside here.
Good. Keep it up.
You took that punch well.
Yeah.